Welcome, Nicholas.
Thank you.
We're going to first show a video from our good friend in Shanghai. Shanghai is at the lockdown at the moment, and it's been an interesting time for our friends in mainland. Obviously, we don't have access to them in terms of their presence here. They would have come, but video is the next best thing we could have. Thank you. Over to Allan.
Hi, this is Allan Chou. I'm the founder of RAIDiCal, an early-stage tech fund-of-funds advisory based in Shanghai. It's great to be here today to share some insights about what's happening in China. Thank you to Lohrasb, to my good friend Syrus for the invitation to come here to be a part of this event. Okay, had to come indoors because we have a mask mandate, and it's not too good to stay outdoors without a mask. So we'll do this with indoors. Been locked down here in Shanghai for the last 2 months, and to my original title of Building a Digital Nation, there's nothing that proves the fact that China is digitized, since we are paying for all of our utilities and ordering our food and doing our meetings online. So it is, from a consumer standpoint, we are digitized. But how does that transfer to other industries and businesses? From this great lockdown, I think that China will continue to do business, not as usual, but I think it's going to be a better environment for investors, for people that are looking at this market, because there has been a lot of learning over the last 2 months during the lockdown in terms of how our system works. So all the things that we looked at in terms of what makes an innovative environment, in terms of culture, in terms of structure, in terms of leadership, in terms of people. And those are still obstacles that we are overcoming. And I think that China will be stronger after this lockdown is over. But one thing that I would like to say is that, as a mentor that's been working with the Mayor's International Business Program in London as part of London Partners, I think that over the years, I've mentored a lot of teams coming to China. And one of the things that I always tell them is that just be prepared. And I think that is the probably the one recommendation I can have for all of you is just prepare. And there are a lot of talents on the ground in the UK, in London, that you can work with, Chinese nationals who are there to matriculate, go to school, and work, that you can work with before you come in, right? Those individuals can help you to decipher and get information that you need about your industry and what you plan to do. And then they can also provide any type of connectivity, right? Look for those partners that you might need to land in China. So I think the talents is something that I really would like to encourage all of you to look at as a first step into market entry. I work obviously in as a VC, but I also teach at the Fudan University's Fire International School of Finance, which is the top school here. And I can tell you, the next generation of young people that are coming out of these international business school are going to be some of the best talents that you'll ever see. So they do connect with them. So that you do have good people on the ground helping you to grow your business, to land and grow your business. There will be videos that you're going to see after my presentation about the high-tech parks and the free trade zones and free trade ports in China. There are 21 of them. And these free trade zones, free trade ports are set up to help foreign businesses to land and do business in China. So do connect with them through the event tonight or through the Mayor's International Business Program. But I think one thing about the digitized version of the portion of this, in terms of what these tech parks are doing, well, they're all digitized. We are using collaborative tools such as Lark, which is owned by TikTok, the decacorn, and it just helps us to work better as partners. Right, so the software has video, has collaborative tools, have messaging, that it's all in one location. So those are the things that we're doing from a SaaS and industry standpoint to help people to do better cross borders, and so that's something that you can all take a look at. But these tech parks, I think, will are very focused. Each one is very focused on a very unique sector. So do understand what they do, and if it fits your profile, then it's a right place to land. But ultimately, do engage. I think that we don't engage enough in terms of the discussions, and also, we have common goals to accomplish, and hopefully the engagement through tonight's event, but also through a lot of the organizations that are doing a tremendous amount of work to enhance the connectivity between the UK, London, and China and Shanghai will be in play. So anyways, best of luck on rest of the conference, and I hope that I'll be able to be in London soon to attend London Tech Week. I've been to every one since its inception, except last 2 years. So hopefully I'll be able to join you and have a deeper conversation when I'm in London next. And then do come visit us when you have a chance. So hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, quick introduction to who I am, and then we go to Nicholas. I'm a former finance director of a number of UK companies. About 10 years ago, I set up China-Britain Business Fusion, or China B2B Fusion in terms of the trading name of the company. To begin with, it was more about helping British companies make inroads into China. In the last 5 years, we've been concentrating on partnership opportunities, investment in UK companies by the Chinese in the AI sector. Now, in terms of the discussion we're going to have today is more about how to do business with Chinese, the negotiation with Chinese, cultural aspects, the industries they're interested in that some of you may be interested in learning more about. Can I just start by asking a question? Can you put your hands up? How many of you have actually traveled to China? Quite a good number, I think. And can I ask another question? How many of you have only traveled to tier 1 cities? Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen? Okay. This is very important. Why? If you travel to Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou, which are major tier 1 cities, you might as well travel to New York, Los Angeles, and because these are very advanced. To really get a taste of China, you should really travel to the rural region. There is not one China, and that's very important. The cultural aspect will divide the country into different sectors. You could go to Xinjiang, you could go to Tibet, and really taste China and come across a developing country. However, what brings the most interesting thing out of China is that even in the rural villages, you can pay by scanning your iPhone against the wall in a grocery shop. So the digital transformation of China is really big, and it's really happening across China. But the cultural aspect, getting to know people, getting to face-to-face, that side of China, the relationship building, the trust element, which takes time, is something that is common across the country. And, in terms of doing business, in terms of negotiation with Chinese, we always say that they sign the contract and then they start negotiating. So this is something that what demands is patience on your side in dealing with China or doing business with Chinese. So Nicholas, can you just give us a brief introduction to who you are and what you've been doing in China?
Yes, I'm Nicholas Littlewood. I moved to Shenzhen in 2009 because at the time there were a lot of Chinese companies that were looking for foreign investment, and at the time there were a lot of Chinese companies that were listing on the London Junior Exchange, the AIM exchange. So that was my initial involvement with Chinese companies and learned a lot through that. As the years have gone by and the developments in China have been quite extraordinary, it's been more a question of talking to Chinese companies about investing outside China and forming partnerships with Western companies. The rate of change seems to be accelerating. As Syrus said, there are vast cities in China, Beijing, over 20 million, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and they're very high-tech, very modern, but there are also, as many of you know, several hundred cities with populations of over 1 million. And what is most impressive, again, is the sheer scale of digitalisation and the accessibility of all those even smaller places to modern means of transactions and so on. And that pace of change seems to be accelerating even further since the pandemic.
Thank you. In terms of that element of relationship, building relationship with Chinese, how much of that filters through doing business with them?
That has also changed considerably. When I first went to China, there was huge emphasis on guanxi and connections and who you know and building a relationship, and that was often done over gallons of baijiu, the Chinese spirit, and big business banquets. That has changed very, very dramatically. The newer generation of professional Chinese businessmen, many of whom have studied overseas in the US or the UK, been to business school and so on, they're getting right down to business much faster. You still have to pay a lot of respect to people's relationships, both within business and usually within the local city or province. And given the nature of China, it's always very important to have good relationships with the local mayoralty and so on. But having said that, that's a good thing because they are, in general, very, very supportive of private business, new startups, new investment.
And in terms of industries that you've been involved in and the Chinese are interested in, looking at, for example, UK companies as in terms of building partnership, building, investing UK companies, which industries have you come most across? And what are some of the elements that, in terms of investment pitch, you've seen in Chinese, grabbing Chinese interest?
Well, some of the most impressive UK achievements have been in the sector of construction and big developments, whether it's airports or cities. As many of you know, there's a new city, Xiong'an, which is being built near Beijing, covers an area of 273 square kilometers, and it's a UK global firm of architects and so on that are in charge of that. I think what is very important in China is to give the local partners, if not an equal footing, a very substantial footing, and to respect the culture of China. So they're very happy to welcome major foreign companies, but important to be discreet.
They said that in China, the importance of localizing your product and not trying to take your shrink-wrapped product to China to try to sell it is very important. Do you have anything to say about that?
I think that's a very good point, but I think whereas products may start off with a local aspect, I think everyone is looking for the ability to scale things up across the country, and that's very easy to do in a sense because you've got a huge consumer market anyway of 1.4 billion people. Consumer spending accounts for something like 60% of GDP. Online sales alone, where China was less than 1% only 10 years ago, is now over 50% of online sales. So it's the ability to scale things up, I think, is very important.
We talk about digital transformation across the world, and that is happening quite strongly in China too.
Yes, and as Alan sort of mentioned, I mean, payment systems and so on. I mean, before I moved back to London 2 years ago, people were already using their cell phone for just about every transaction. You couldn't even, in Shenzhen, which is a particularly modern city, it has got to the point where cash was becoming obsolete. Long before it, that was, the British were reluctantly drawn kicking and screaming to giving up cash during the pandemic. So that was already advanced. online deliveries for online ordered goods were already phenomenal. Every city was full of mini deliveries, electric delivery scooters. Even that has changed now. Since I've been away, the electric scooters are being replaced by hydrogen-fueled scooters. So they're even in the fore of that environmental aspect, because with the surge in electric vehicles, they've also considered alternatives to that in itself. So China is, in that sense, leading the way with hydrogen. In Shenzhen, it was one of the first cities to electrify the taxi fleet, and now they're already experimenting with hydrogen buses and so on. So.
This is very important in terms of development of technology in China. Shanghai is one of the major cities behind development of AI, and as an example, they have built 600 kilometers of road just to test autonomous vehicles within their accelerators, incubators around Shanghai. So it gives you a scale of what China is doing in terms of becoming number one driver of technology and AI across the world, not just in that part of the world. So in terms of opportunities coming out of the lockdown, and we all want China to come out of the lockdown, in terms of opportunities and challenges, what do you see that as what the future holds?
Yeah, the different countries have been dealing with the pandemic in different ways and at different speeds and at different rates of opening up. China obviously will open up again, hopefully in the very near future. There are huge opportunities. There's been some difficulties, obviously, because of the pandemic, and supply chains have been disrupted and so on, but that will get back to normal. And within that, blockchain is starting to form a very important component, particularly with, for example, one of the industries I'm involved in is construction, and blockchain contracts and so on for the supply of components and everything involved in that is becoming very important. Construction will resume. The property sector has obviously had a big downfall in recent months, but I'm sure that will pick up again. There are opportunities in things like that have been less developed in China, particularly I think in telehealth. That is one of the, it's a very large country, to state the obvious, so anything that can resolve the logistic difficulties of people contacting doctors directly is one of the areas of interest. Hospitals are upgrading their equipment the whole time, so a lot of foreign suppliers are interested in that sector. And one of the concerns that people had at least 10 years ago, and I'm not an IP lawyer, but protection of IP was one of the very big issues. That is actually improved as China itself has become one of the biggest registers of patents. They themselves are concerned about protecting their patents. So IP protection has improved considerably, and that's reduced one of the concerns of foreign investors. Other sectors that are opening up are the financial sector, asset management, developing private pension schemes for China. China has huge reserves, and they're very, very carefully allocating that to some of the US and UK pension advisors so they can gradually have a self-standing pension industry.
So UK continues to be a major partner to China?
I think the UK will continue to be a very major partner. I think the links between the UK and China are very strong. Obviously, huge number of Chinese students come to benefit from UK universities, and vice versa. There are some UK academics in Chinese universities as well. I think China is just so important that notwithstanding the occasional trade tensions and political tensions, there is going to be a huge amount of collaboration between the UK and China in the future.
We had Tencent here yesterday, and we had TUS Park, Tsinghua University Science Park here yesterday. Both the managing directors were here yesterday, and they were, in terms of the cultural interest in UK in doing business, they find this as #1 country. London, Cambridge, Oxford as the #1 cities in the world to do business. And as the relationship with US continues to not be so level head, I think UK can become one of the strongest partners for China. Now, I think over to the audience for Q&A, and we'll be very happy to, in the next 2-3 minutes, to take your questions.
Hi, Syrus, and hi, Nicholas. Mimi Zhou. I guess some of you would. I've been around. I wanted to ask Nicholas a question about technology, and well, actually, I'll be on the next panel with Lord Clement Jones, who's also very interested in this area. Are we seeing increasing competition between China and the rest, I guess mostly the US, in this area? And I would be very interested in your thoughts as to how that would impact on how we do business with China. I mean, obviously there's some geopolitical tensions there, but I think yesterday in the panel, we discussed this issue of technology rivalry and competition.
Well, clearly there are going to be areas of sensitivity, and that's particularly affecting Chinese acquisitions of, say, of UK companies. And those are being scrutinized more than they were in the past. And some of that pressure is coming not only from non-Chinese parts of the world, but from China itself. But I think that will be resolved, and provided some of those sensitive technologies are not pursued in collaboration, then it won't be an issue.
I have a question just about are there any recommendations you have for companies heading into China that they can do before entering into China? Things they can prepare, things they can be aware of before they set up in the country?
In terms of artificial intelligence?
Just in general, for companies expanding into China, what should they be doing 6 months before they enter the market? What should they be preparing, considering? You mentioned technological adaptation.
Yeah. I think that in terms of, I'll broadly answer this question about collaboration with China, with UK companies and industries and so on. I think it's important to note that Chinese interest in UK and in terms of industries is not just in focus on industries, but it's also at academic level too. I think it's important to, we have in UK, we have in the top 20 universities in the world, we have 5 of those in UK, Imperial, UCL, and so on. We had the head of UCL AI here last night. So in terms of industries, I think one thing that is important is to note the quantum technology that Tech UK is writing strategy for UK. Electric vehicle is very important. And in terms of building relationship with them, with Chinese, it's important to for the UK, for those interested in doing business with China, to travel to China and to build that, and not just treat China as like a remote control that you can do business with China. That is very important. So it's not just the industries that need to are looking to collaborate, but it's also important to build that relationship, one-to-one relationship with your counterpart. Don't travel to China and go into the boardroom and do business with Chinese. More business is done on a dinner table with Chinese than is done on a boardroom table. Take your time. As I said, it's important to us to note that you can't go in, fly in, sign a piece of paper and get out. It's a question of building relationship. So I think it's a broad set of areas that you need to take into account when you're doing business with Chinese. Anything else you want to add?
I'd also just echo something that Allan said, which is there are a number of Chinese organizations which can be accessed in London. I believe Shenzhen now has a representative office in London, and they will provide a lot of guidance and help to companies that want to do business in Shenzhen. And in Shenzhen itself, even within the districts, they have effectively incubator offices available to start up companies, and they will provide advice on visas and employment and all those sort of critical issues.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that has interest in doing business with Chinese, we are connected. ASMA is connected with, we are connected with the industries, Chinese industries in UK. We have some of the, we have people from the Chinese telecom here. So I think there's opportunity in networking to ask questions and find out how we can build up that relationship with Chinese. Thank you very much.
Thank you.